What is good, everyone? This is Captain Awesome again. Today we are diving into Wonder Woman issue number 16, and I have to tell you, this is a very interesting issue because the greatest detective, in my opinion, in DC Comics shows up. And no, it's not Batman, it's Detective Chimp. Now, all of you who are booing after you heard me say this, shut up. Detective Chimp is cool, and I like him. But anyways, without much further ado, let's get into it. So right off the bat, we are presented with dialogue from the Sovereign. Now, for those of you who don't know who the Sovereign is basically the secret king of the United States, and basically his family have run things from the shadows since the beginning of the United States itself. And in the story, he's a really major enemy of Wonder Woman for some reason that has not been fully explained so far in the story. I think the story goes to further explain the reasons why the monarch is trying to do what he does in his proxy secret war against Diana. We also get to see the baby that Diana not conceived but created, like she herself was created by her mother Hippolyta to represent her and Steve, who has also died. Yeah, spoiler alert, Steve is dead, and it's thanks to the Sovereign. For those wondering, the name of Wonder Woman's child is Elizabeth Marston Prince. I don't know why she didn't give her Steve's name, but probably to protect him. Anyways, so back to the exposition that we get from the Sovereign. We were unpleased. Following our murder of Steve Trevor, we eagerly anticipated her arrival. We hoped to see her at our doorstep, banging and screaming, her eyes tearful, her teeth bared, her face clenched, nails digging into her own skin. Her fury was to be our victory. Instead, we got the chimp, and he's like, I was just swinging by the neighborhood, so to speak. That's a little ape humor there. Swinging by, forgive me. And I have to admit that's quite funny. This is why I love Detective Chimp. He has a sense of humor, unlike Batman when he's solving and doing his detective work, who is always more serious than not. So Detective Chimp continues. While I'm here, maybe I should stop in and clear up a few things that were on my mind about this Colonel Trevor situation. I think we spoke on the phone about it. I can just go if this is a bother at all. I'll come back at a better time. And obviously, he's not going to just leave. The Sovereign's butler then says, Sir, there's a monkey here to see you. And I love how he's the butler of this evil guy who secretly rules the United States. And Chimp is like, ape. And the butler says to the Sovereign, an ape, sir. The Sovereign confuses like, pardon? And Detective Chimp, before the Sovereign can say anything more, says, no, pardon me. This is entirely my fault. I'm the one intruding. I was just swinging by. That's ape humor. If the butler doesn't laugh, that's because he's already heard it. Do you know, I thought it was you. I guess maybe it's, well, because I can't find a picture of you anywhere. Heck, I don't even know your name. Just your address from what we found searching the Colonel's car. Mr. And the Sovereign responds, Charles. Henry Charles. And Detective Chimp is like, maybe you remember, I'm investigating the Trevor murder. So the Sovereign's narration continues again. The odious primates did not linger long in our presence. Thankfully, Colonel Trevor's car had been banally discovered within the man's own garage. A seemingly routine check of the vehicle's GPS showed it had visited several locations over the past week, including our mansion in Norton McLean. We explained that we knew Colonel Trevor vaguely. He, like us, was a collector of historical objects. His visit to our abode was nothing more than an opportunity to inspect a revolutionary flag he had interest in purchasing. This pre-prepared explanation seemed to satisfy the urchin. He apologized for the intrusion, saying it would be his last. Then he walked to the door as I sat down to my paper. At the hallway door, he stopped, turned and noted a need for a final inquiry. Nothing of importance, of course, he emphasized. He was merely pondering what we did for a living. That you could afford the house, the butler, the collection. I am retired from the civil service, we said. The wealth is inherited. My father invested in real estate. We thought we would never see his shaggy face again. We were mistaken. As you see Detective Chimp meet up with the Sovereign again. Detective Chimp greets the Sovereign, and the Sovereign kind of annoyed is like, Detective, I do not know if you are aware, but this is a private section of Arlington, where my father is buried. And Detective Chimp responds, is it? Oh no, I feel terrible about that. I was just at the Colonel's grave, and I saw you coming up from a distance, and I thought, this is a good time to say hello and update him on the case, so I don't have to interrupt him at home again. And the Sovereign kind of fed up is like, yes. And Detective Chimp kind of gives him this empty stare, saying what? And the Sovereign, trying to control his temper, says, are there updates on the case, Detective? Did you think I would inquire as to the weather? I am here to tribute my father, not to engage in small talk. Detective Chimp, who is obviously trying to piss off the Sovereign, is like, of course, what was I thinking? Yes, we have a theory now based on the information you provided. And the Sovereign responds, you are welcome. But before you can finish, Detective Chimp interrupts. You know, I brought a banana with me. No idea where I put it. Maybe I left it back at the kennels. I'm not hungry, but I feel awful that I lost it, you know. And the Sovereign is getting even more fed up, but Detective Chimp continues. I couldn't even eat it here. It'd be rude. Don't know why it bugs me. Just always like to have a banana handy. The Sovereign finally snaps. You claimed you had an update that was worth intruding upon a secret task. I do not care about your banana. Detective Chimp finally cools down with the trolling. Forget the banana. Yes, of course. Since Trevor came to you to buy this flag, he probably had a ton of cash on him. Cash not found on the body. And the Sovereign is like, and that points to a robbery. Perhaps when he returned with the car in the garage, someone took the money and discarded the body. And Detective Chimp, with a huge smile on his face, says, this is why I wanted to tell you to thank you in person. Just a little thing you said may have blown the whole case wide open. And the Sovereign pats Detective Chimp on the shoulder saying, I'm glad I have contributed in some fashion. I only wish I could help you some more, Detective. Detective Chimp responds, no, this is plenty. Just glad you can confirm it. You can confirm that, right? That he had money on him, in cash. And the Sovereign, thinking that he's kind of got one up on Detective Chimp, is like, yes, obviously. I saw it with my own eyes. Giving this kind of fake smile. Once again, we continue with the narration. All the narration pages seem to follow Diana, who is away trying to collect her thoughts instead of attacking the Sovereign like they expected. But the Sovereign says, truth is sacred, young one. If you understand nothing else from our time together, please understand that. There is a reason we share this story with you, that we expose our humiliation at the hands of a nasty woman. You are Trinity. You hold the three lassos of faith. You command our respect despite your heritage and gender. To you, I owe my veracity. But a chimp, one can lie to a chimp. Days passed, and we did not hear from the creature. Though we admit, there were moments where we expected him to be hanging outside our bedroom window. This was but foolish paranoia, as that was not at all where we, in fact, discovered him hanging. Detective Chimp pops up on him with a banana as he is riding his horse through his manor. He gets shocked and says, dear Lord. Detective Chimp greets him. Mr. Charles, sorry, I was coming to visit and I saw this branch. And well, sometimes you spot a good branch and you've got a good banana. You just got to take advantage of the whole situation. The Sovereign obviously startled tells him, I have had a few stressful days due to a financial situation. I am out for a ride to relieve that tension. This is not a moment in which I wish to discuss your banana. Obviously, the Sovereign takes Detective Chimp for granted because he's an ape. But he doesn't realize that Detective Chimp is playing more into this side to figure out what exactly the Sovereign is up to. It's a masterclass in what makes Detective Chimp so much of a good detective and how he subverts expectations. Detective Chimp tells him, this will be super quick. I just appreciated all the help you gave me with the money and your theory about the robbery. That was very helpful, but I had a follow-up. It won't take long at all. Sovereign really pissed now, just snatches the banana out of his hand. You continue to insult me. You consider me a fool. And Detective Chimp is just like, no sir, much the opposite. I'm trying to sort out this whole situation and I've just hit a wall. And he throws away the banana. Do you not believe I see through you, animal? That I tire of this farce? Detective Chimp is like, why Mr. Charles? What's gotten you so upset? The Sovereign tells him, enough of this buffoonery. You have 5 minutes to leave the premises before I send in my guards. And Detective Chimp, kind of monkeying around now, is just like, we did some searching and we couldn't find the cash from the robbery. Trevor didn't withdraw it from his account. None of his friends gave it to him. But as you saw it, I was wondering if maybe he mentioned to you where he got it from. The Sovereign sighs. Clearly, I provided him the money. I purchased the uniform for one of his famous battles months ago. He came to view my collection and I purchased something from his. A common enough occurrence in our circles. Ah, that would explain it. I should have thought of that. Ties it all together. But now that you mention it, I appreciate military history stuff myself. You mind if I get a look at that Trevor uniform you bought from him? Kind of digging in at the Sovereign and trying to tell him that he knows his game and what he's trying to get at. So again, we get the Sovereign's narration. We told the beast we were busy that day, and if he might return later in the week, we could show him our treasured outfit, which gave us a limited time to produce such a particular object, one that might endure the scrutiny of this rather picky detective, who would likely test the uniform for both battle authenticity and Trevor's DNA. Many options were considered and dismissed. Every means of fabrication seemed to carry with it possibility of discovery and further exposure to the animal's curiosity. In the end, the decision was reached to filch the genuine object. And I hate to break it to the Sovereign, but he played right into Detective Chimp's hands with this. The Sovereign continues. Trevor kept an office at the Pentagon. One might expect us to use our military contacts to get inside. One would not expect us to use Circe. The plan was simple enough. Take one certifiable outfit. Use a spell to replace it with a fake. Leave as quick as you came. Abracadabra. And done. But unfortunately for them, Circe gets caught by none other than Detective Chimp. And he says to her, in my line of business, the detective game that is, that right there is what you call a clue. And Circe, trying to make a quick run for it, says, and what do you suppose will happen now? When I throw fire and you throw feces. And Detective Chimp tries to fire back. Really, feces? That's a cruel thing to say to an ape. And you know what being cruel to animals is? As the Spectre jumps in at Circe, saying a sin. Back to the Sovereign, he tells us, in our understanding, the interrogation of Circe was especially unpleasant, lasting not hours, but days and weeks. The Chimp kept asking her question after question, as the Spectre crawled about her soul. The vengeance of God, no longer tethered to a human, reveled in the center of the witch, unearthing 3 millennia of monstrosities. Each was surfaced to her conscience, inflicting upon her the 1,000 punishments she had eagerly provided to so many others. She struggled and she sobbed and she screamed. Then she talked. So we fast forward to Detective Chimp again, who is once again at the manor of the Sovereign. You wouldn't believe what she said. Heaven knows I had trouble with it. I mean, it was just something else, Mr. Charles. Or as she says you should be addressed, Sovereign, as he picks up a gun from the Sovereign's wall. The Sovereign tells him, get your hands off my gun, you damn dirty ape. She claimed you are the secret king of America, that you and your family have been manipulating our citizenry for 300 years. Isn't that just bananas? As he points the mini blunderbuss at the Sovereign. The Sovereign tells him, leave, now. And Detective Chimp says to him, I didn't mean to overstay my welcome. I can see you're anxious. I'll leave and deal with the details of this later, maybe with your lawyer. And the Sovereign flies off the handles again. These are baseless accusations that you've obtained from a villain, a heretic. Do you think to threaten to arrest me on the lies of this magic woman? No, you're right. I couldn't do that. Jury won't convict you based on the word of an ancient witch these days. You are 100% correct about that, Your Majesty. And the Sovereign tells him, Mr. Charles you mean. To which Detective Chimp says, right, slip of the tongue, forgive me. I'm a chimp, you know. Talking isn't my first language. If you are not arresting me, what was your comment you made concerning a lawyer? To which Detective Ape responds, just ignore that. I'm sure it's all fine. And the Sovereign says, what is fine? Before Detective Chimp, who is leaving his home, says, you don't have to worry about me. You probably never have to deal with me again. And the Sovereign says, good, as he shuts the door frustrated before he gets another knock. And he's like, let me guess, one more thing. Well, this time it isn't Detective Chimp, but rather Clark Kent, who tells him, actually I have quite a few questions. On the next page, we get to see Wonder Woman and her mother Hippolyta with her child Elizabeth. Hippolyta is cradling her and tells Diana that she is too young to be a grandmother. But Diana retorts, but you're old enough to be a god. Hippolyta tells Diana, gods come and go, grandmas are forever. But once again we are back to the Sovereign. The story was quite the sensation. Headlines around the world. The tenacious Mr. Kent, following leads provided by the Chimp, discovered troves of evidence linking our family to American history. 300 years of secrecy was tossed in the waste bin. And before the Sovereign's butler can say anything, he is shot by the Sovereign. Every sort of common lowlife hounded us, all seeking explanation of what they perceived to be the facts, each demanding to know what power we had and how they might take it. Damn, that animal. He continues, for man, she did nothing. Then she sent her girls to steal our money. Then she sent her Chimp to steal our legacy. One could only wonder what she might send next. In the same panel with the Sovereign's narration, we see Hippolyta ask Diana, and the father, Diana says, it is but a matter of time. There is an order to things. And that is the end of the main story of Wonder Woman issue 16. They gave us the secret history of the Sovereign, which is kind of a recap, sort of an additional information. I'll speak a bit about that, but I won't go deeply into it as it's kind of filler in my opinion. To put it simply, they talk about the Sovereign and how his family came to be and ruled the United States secretly. Talking about how they used the lasso of lies to dupe the founding fathers into thinking they were running a democracy when in fact they, the royal family, were running the founding fathers. Unfortunately, they don't give much information either on the lasso of lies. but they do speculate that it might have been stolen from a tribe of natives. They also let us know that the sovereign has been slowly slipping into bankruptcy, and other properties that he owned have been taken back by various banks and were getting resold. We also get to learn that the sovereign has an older sister named Princess Claire, who he threw out into the streets, and she kind of helped selling out the sovereign to Clark Kent and Detective Chimp, who managed to piece this all together and expose the sovereign to the whole United States. The sovereign was initially not meant to be the next successor. He overthrew his sister as his father was not pleased with the idea of him becoming king and was dissatisfied with his capabilities. It also lets us know that the sovereign was actually the one who killed his father, but managed to cover it up with their vast affiliations and connections, and is the reason why his sister fled into hiding in the first place. And most importantly, they confirmed that the sovereign is a huge misogynist. Kind of a W for the sovereign, but we'll leave that for another time. Anyways guys, that has been Wonder Woman issue number 16. What did you think of it? I actually really like this issue. It's a very fun one, and yes, I'll be honest with you guys, it's only because Detective Chimp is in it. That's the only reason I love it. I really did not care about whatever they were trying to do with Diana. I like how they managed to make Detective Chimp solve this case, and the way he went about it, it was really fun to read, to be honest. What do you think of it? I really want to know, guys. Let me know in the comments as always. And as usual, for your boy, do all the good stuff. Like, comment, share, subscribe. As always, this has been Captain Awesome. Until next time, guys, stay awesome.